Okay, I'm starting on OurBoatMonitor. This application is really a follow-on from ourLora. In ourLora, I was testing out doing IoT and different ways of using radio connectivity. So I used LoRaWAN and Sigfox. In the end, I used NBTM to connect from where my boat's going to be located using LTE over cellular, and then back to my back end on Firebase. So I tested that out in ourLora, and this is the follow-on where I'm actually going to make the boat monitoring application. So this is going to run on my boat. It's about 4 months out until I can put my boat back in the dock again. So when I do that, I'm going to print a 3D case. I'm going to be using an Ender 3 version 2 printer to do that. So these are some of the things I'm going to learn how to use. I'm going to be using Fusion 360 from AutoCAD to do the 3D design of the box that I'm going to use. And then put it on the boat, connect up GPS and a temperature, humidity sensor, as well as being able to monitor the battery voltage on my boat, and put it all on my boat and see how it goes. So next part of this video, I'll have a look at the checklist that I put together of the next things that I need to do to create this application.
So once again, for my project, I'm going to start it off by creating a checklist of the main tasks I can think of at the moment. I'll probably change this as I go along. So I went into our checklists application. I made a new checklist. This is the checklist. Let's have a look at it as with more of the details. So I mean, for April the 1st, because that's when the dock opens, I can put my boat in it. And these are the main tasks. So I'm going to learn Fusion 360, and I've put the link down here to the Udemy course that I'm using for that. That seems pretty good. It's working well for me. I'm going to build a 3D printer, which is an Ender 3 version 2 I decided on. So I won't go through the steps of building that, but I'll show you the information that I used from YouTube and things to get a good idea of how to put it together and make sure it's all well set up. I'm going to learn 3D printing, so just a little bit of time trying things out to make sure I know how to do 3D printing before I start making cases for my boat monitor. I'm going to start off, I want to make a little case for my ESP32s that I used in our probes, so the standalone ESP32s that use wireless are really small devices, so they'll be a good one to test making cases for without taking too long to print them out before I do the larger OurBoatMonitor case. So I'll make a case for an ESP32, so that's where I'll design it in Fusion 360 and print it on my Ender. I need to bring over the ourLora project, which is a template at the moment in GitHub. So I'll make a copy of that and then call it OurBoatMonitor, and also set up a Firebase instance to support that. Once I've got that running, basically as a copy of ourLora, I'll set up the things I need for a boat monitor. So defining the device types, the devices, the application triggers and views that I'll use for the boat monitor. So it'll be a specific version of ourLora application just for a boat monitor. Maybe change around splash screens and things like that. But shouldn't be too much to do there. Most of it will just be soft coding. I won't have to actually change the code too much. I'm going to update my hologram backend service interface to cope with the various IoT sensors that I'm using for the boat monitor. So I've already used hologram in ourLora, so I know what I'm doing there. So it's really just setting up the parameters for those additional sensors. I need to do a POC for pressure, temp and humidity sensor. So using I2C interface on the PyCom device to get those. I've got a little pressure, temperature, humidity sensor, so Just got to make sure I understand how to connect those up and make sure they work together. Same thing, I want to do a POC for a battery voltage sensor, so I can measure the voltage of my battery in the boat. I'll probably do another POC, I haven't put it in here yet, to do some sort of water level sensor so I can measure what's the water level of the water in my bilge as well. So I'll probably add that in as a POC. Then I need to design and print a case, so once I know what sensors I'm using and generally the various parts in my OurBoatMonitor device, then I'm going to design and print a case. So I'll design it in Fusion 360, then print it on my Ender, fit everything together. I'll test the hardware in the case, I'll install on my boat, and hopefully it's all works at that stage. Then I'll clean up any changes I made to my code as I went along and roll back anything I should roll back into the FPM starter application. I'm going to be using Fusion 360 as my 3D design tool for creating the boxes for the OurBoatMonitor, and I'm using this Udemy course from Vladimir Morano. Seems pretty good, suited to the sort of things I was looking to do. I think it covers most of the stuff that I want. Almost finished it, so I'll recommend this and put the link down in the description for this video below. I also had to build up my 3D printer, so I chose a Ender 3 version 2 printer. Seems to get good reviews and fairly simple for a beginner to use. The actual construction probably took me a couple of hours. I had a false start. The first one of these printers that was sent to me, the bed had a bump in it, so it wouldn't have printed any good, so I had to send that back. The second one was good. I followed YouTube instructions for this and created my final printer. OurBoatMonitor is based on the ourLora project. You can find that in Lupincorp website, and if you click on ourLora you find out a few more details about it. The most important details are really in the video blogs, which give you details of building ourLora, what it does. There's also a GitHub repository. ourLora is open source, so anyone can take it to start their IoT application. Let's have a look at what ourLora does. So I'm going into ourLora, which is the basic application. And it has things like security, so you log into it, so you can manage users and how they use whatever IoT application you build from ourLora. It has things like devices, device types, and applications. Under applications you have various views. So here's an example of a view into a battery monitor coming from an IoT device. Applications also contain things like triggers, notifications that can be sent. So there's an example. So again, for the OurBoatMonitor application, I'll be taking a copy of ourLora as the basis to start creating an application to manage the boat monitor sensors and triggers and views. So finally, let's have a look at the pieces that are going to go into the OurBoatMonitor box that I'm going to design and build. Okay, these are the pieces I think needs to go in my 3D printed boat monitor box. So I've got a PyCom board, and that's mounted on a GPS motherboard to get GPS readings. This is a I2C temperature humidity sensor, so I need to connect that up to the temperature or the I2C interface on the board. The aerial will be mounted outside the box. This is just a little USB-C power connector that I can wire up. It's going to wire up to this as a 12 volt to 5 volt converter. It's actually a variable converter, so one side will be connected to my boat battery, the other side will be connected to power the PyCom board. I've also got a battery backup here that connects into the board as well.